Let's see how we can do this, y'all. I'm trying to prop this up. Oh, that's sliding. Hopefully it stays. Hopefully it stays. Okay, happy Easter, everybody. I hope y'all had a good Easter. I am in Denver, Colorado. Well, Wheat Ridge, Denver, right on the outskirts, just coming out of the Rocky Mountain area. Oh, just barely 570, 80 miles. Because I started out just south of Beaver, Utah. I slept at the Loves last night. I was going to go to Beaver, and I didn't realize it was Eagles Landing. If I'd have known, I would have went there. But I had a free shower at Loves, and I needed a shower. Come on, y'all. I needed a shower bad. So I had a free shower at Love's, and I got the phone propped right now. And it's still ghetto mobile. I got to get back to Lubbock. And once I get back to Lubbock, I'm able to get I got to put the SIM card in my old Galaxy Note and then activate the service. Now that I got the two phones, even ghetto mobile, I'll probably be able to do Nikki's interview. And I'll have to schedule with her, depending on her schedule, so she can talk. She's the one with the owner-operator who had her own authority. She has since turned her truck back in and then returned the trailer, and she's working locally with. I'm a firm believer that God allows things to happen for a reason, and there were some issues with her grandfather, which is what he adopted her. So it kind of worked out that she can now be home a little more frequently. It has made a world of difference. Oh my, is that my eye? Is it just? I think that's just something reflecting out white over here, and it's probably reflected in my eye. Yeah, that's just reflection. It looks like something in my eye, doesn't it? I think it's just reflection. Yeah, it's just reflecting. Anyway, I need to do some laundry. So if I get up early enough tomorrow, I'm gonna try to run in here and do laundry. If not, I'm gonna have to plan it out. I have to get to another truck stop where I can do it. I gotta haul it all the way across the yard. I hate that. Yeah. This Wheat Ridge one, I'm not a fan. I did it's like I went around and I get back on the freeway and then I had to come back. It's a pain in the ass. But anyway, it took a while because I'm like 72,000 and my climb was slow. I was about 30 miles an hour on my climb. 20 in some spots. Anyway, I hope you guys are all having it. And I want to thank everybody because it looks like we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. And I can tell we're getting a lot. I have no idea what happened. All of a sudden, it's just like a major boost. So I don't know if those of you started sharing it out, which I appreciate you doing that. By the way, if you're watching this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Once we do we hit the 1,000, as I told you guys, I'm going to do a little giveaway kind of to celebrate the 1,000 membership. And I'll do a video when we get ready to do that and how to get involved in being one of the people that's in the little drawing. But I want to thank all the new subscribers. I want to thank you for joining, and hopefully something we're doing on here, something I do on here or on the 411 channel will help you as a person, as a driver. I mean, we got people on here that aren't drivers. We got people who are here because maybe they've gotten information about safety as far as just, watching yourself and your surroundings. We got people here because sometimes I'm a little philosophical or I have some very strong Christian views about things. And then we got some people. I can tell when you starting to get, more people are watching, you get the nut boxes too. So I've had to block some folks. I had somebody, I guess because my hair is short, I look like a boy or whatever. First of all, my hair wasn't always short. My hair used to be long. And I'm just going to do this because obviously there's folks that are just ignorant. If you look, you can see on top that this is thin. So unlike my biological mother who wears her little fuzz because she grows hair a little bit around here and then has this old man thing, I'm not doing that. I just shave mine all down. When it started thinning, I used to wear the top longer and as long as I could and keep the sides shaved so it wasn't as apparent, but it's more apparent now. So, and what you think of how I look, I really don't give a doggone. We got to be careful, and let me get into a little topic. We got to be careful when we look at a book and think that we know what's inside the book by looking at the cover. You have no clue. You haven't walked in my shoes. You don't know my existence. You don't know my life. And with that being said, I always talk about Grumpy Smurf. And who was it? Les Truck asked me, hey, you always talk about your dad, but you never mention your mom. Is your mother still alive? And I know some of you guys, you not only do you watch me for trucking, but you want to know who I am in general. DCI Jams, who's on the Ford Trucker 411, and thank you. We got a lot of people joining on the Facebook page too, so thank you, and feel free to go over there. I got to put all the links below. I've been so busy I haven't done the links like I normally do. But DCI Jams, wow, that looks so weird with that reflection in my eye, but it is a reflection. DCI Jams, who is on the Trucker 411, he asked me, he's been following me for a couple of years. And then he ended up being one of the hosts on the Trucker 411 and one of the admins. And we talk periodically all the time, like I do with Jay. I talk to him. I haven't talked, me and Dee, I think we talked on the phone once, D-Boy Stance, but she's local, and so I don't really bother her. And I know that her partner, I think, has some health stuff going on. So I don't, we haven't really talked like I do to Jay and to the DCI. So I talked to Chi-Town and DCI a little bit more on the phone, and then I also talked to Jose, JC Elect. Those are usually my guys I talk to when I'm driving sometimes. I've talked to Les Truck, Nikki, Larry Smith, and I talked to a few of y'all on the phone. But I talk to certain people a little bit more, usually drivers, because we're driving either at the same time of night. But I'm going to say this to you because a lot of people have asked me. So my biological mother, for those who are wondering, she is alive. My biological mother is probably just as much of a butthole as my dad. So that time when I told y'all about me being sick, I'm going to give you an example so you can understand who I'm dealing with. And I have countless examples with her too. It got very abusive in the home with my mother, and I ended up living with my grandfather, who was shot and killed. I ended up living with him for the rest of my teenage years, starting at age, 15? 15. So my last couple of years of high school, I lived with my grandfather. It just got really bad, and I thought bad things about my mom. Let's put it like that. I wanted her dead. She was that, just malicious, evil, and bitter, vindictive. But to give you an example, and just to tell you how jacked up my mother is, and I'm a #MeToo survivor. My brothers, and well, it was some molest from some cousins, as well as my stepfather, my two half brothers' fathers that I raised for part of their life. And my mother, when she married him, and I've shared it with them, and it's funny how family, I don't know what it is when you open up about a situation and they don't really acknowledge it. And you like, look, don't take your kids around these people because something is wrong with your people. My brother's father is a Chester. And I was 9 years old when the incest molest stuff started with him. My mother, when she married him, and I remember it as a kid, so I can give you an example, and I'm going to say something about this because I'm going to link a video below. I was watching something with John Gray today, and if I can find it, I'm going to link it. And it was a lady who was a mother of a son. I don't know what it is, and I know someone just like her. She kept messing with these drug men, these guys who were in drugs, and I guess the boy's father was killed, and he was a drug dealer, and some other man that she got involved with, I think he was killed. He was into selling drugs, and I think they're in that Florida area or something like that. It's insanity. Anyway, Latino lady. At least I got Latino. I could be wrong, but she looked Latino to me. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to tell my story, a part of my story. Ladies, I understand, and I know some of it I think is either low self-esteem, loneliness, or this conception that you got to have somebody. But one, if you have children and you've had a child, your first goal as a parent is protection. Protection means you got to be careful who the hell you bring around your kids. And I'm going to tell this real quick story. I worked with a guy. I forgot his name. I worked with this dude, and he was telling me his ex-wife had custody of his daughters. She started messing with some guy who was a boyfriend, and he raped one of her daughters, one of his daughters. And so he ended up getting custody of all his kids, and I think they're all girls. You know, no boys. It was like three girls. He got custody of all three girls. When he went to marry his current wife, this man had a background check done on her. And at first I was like, well, damn. But then the more I thought about what happened to me, I'm like, at least, and to say he's a man, which is the number one thing, he cares enough about his children to make sure it don't matter whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, whoever he's going to be with, he wants to make sure they're not going to hurt his kids, regardless that he may have feelings for them. That is a parent. That is someone who is a protector of their children. So I'm going to say, ladies, men, whoever you are, you have kids, you got to be careful who the hell you bring around your children. And if you suspect, question anything about them, then you may have to sacrifice a relationship with them because you got something in your gut that's saying, something the hell ain't right, and I don't trust bringing that around my kid. It may be, unfortunately, that it might not be true, but I have learned that one of the biggest things God has given me is follow your damn gut. My mother, when she started dating my stepfather when I was like 7 years old, I think it was, and he seemed to be an okay person. When they were getting ready to get to the point of marriage, we went to go meet his family. These are my brother's family, and there's a 9-year difference between me and one brother, 10 years with the other one. So their father started seeing my mom when I was 7 years old. We then went to go, when they decided they were getting ready to settle down and get married and all that other stuff, he took my mother and me to meet his family. All I can tell you is at 7 years old, they were weird. Very weird, strange family. Just odd. Once my mother married him, we had moved into we always called her Miss Pearly, but she was like an aunt to the family. We always called her Miss Pearly, but she was an aunt by marriage. Her brother had married my grandfather's sister, so kind of like a great aunt. And we moved into a rental house that she had in the hood, okay? My mother hadn't had my two brothers yet. But when she married him, when we moved in there, we were sitting on like a little back step porch, and he had two of his brothers had come up and they were in the driveway talking. And my mother says to me, if any of them ever try to do anything with you, and in essence I understood touch you or do anything, you let me know. I'm like, I didn't, as a kid, you're not wrapping your mind around how dysfunctional that statement is. Because if I had a child and I suspected, had a feeling, an inkling, a thought that somebody I was going to get with them or their family might do something to my child, I'm not getting with them. I'm just not. But there was something that set that off. So this is a deep subject. Lo and behold, later on, once the incest molest happened, I'm 9 years old, and my mother went to the lady who we rented the house from, which was, like I said, an aunt, and I guess she had told her, and I didn't know this, she thought that me and the stepfather were having a relationship. Let me explain something to y'all. A 9-year-old is not having a relationship with a grown-ass individual. That's some sick shit. But it told me more, and I found this out directly from Miss Pearly. As we talked later on, once I ended up living with my grandfather, she had me come by her house because she knew that things weren't right. But she had me come by her house, and she just had a really good come to Jesus meeting with me. And even what she was trying to break down to me, I couldn't, as a teenager, it wasn't computing. It didn't all compute until probably I was about 45, 50. And then all of a sudden, it was like God set me back and just started playing my life before me. And I started realizing how foul and disgusting my mother was. And I went through almost an anger, hatred. I really have never liked her. but I mean a deep hatred, because I realized how foul she was for some of the things that she allowed to happen. I'm gonna jump the script a little bit. When I got sick, and there's tons of other stuff, but when I got sick and I had that situation with the grumpy, my mother had also been called in, and she was called in prior to grumpy coming out. And when I got released from the hospital for the first stint where was having the breathing issues, I was on the walker, they were going to put me in a nursing home. She said, well, you can come and stay with me and the boys, meaning my two brothers, and we'll help you recoup. Child, that lasted all of one damn day. And it was hell in that house. My mother she's always a bully, and it's unfathomable. People from my job were coming by, friends that were in town were coming by to see me. I mean, when I say almost check out, I mean almost check out. A little church I was going to, well, my mother decided, I guess she wanted to ask people what their sexual orientation was, because because she knew my issues, and she didn't want the boys who were 16 and 17, yeah, I can't have that spirit here, just drama. And so she's going to interview these. No, we're not going to do that. I have people come from my job who knew nothing about me, and that's your private business. Crazy as hell. And then I had a friend that was from out of town, and she comes stumping down the thing and scream. I'm like, oh no. I had been away from that from, when did I get sick? I got aged 29. I ended up living with my grandfather at 15. So I've been away from the madness for over 14 years. I said, you know what? And I got calm, because that pisses her off when you get calm. Because what she's trying to do, she's a bully. She wants to stir up a fight. That's just her thing. And I warned my aunt about it. She wants to stir up a fight. I got really calm, and I said, I want to thank you for letting me stay here, but it's time for me to go home. Well, who's going to take care of you? I'm not really worried about that. It's going to work out. I didn't care if I had to drag my dead body around my apartment. I was not staying in the madness anymore. I had gotten away from the madness at 15. I'm thinking maybe you've changed. No, she's still a a-hole. It's taken me years, and today is Easter, and even before the end, to say forgive. I forgive her and I forgive Monty. They're both foul people. And they're going to have to talk to God about who they are, who they have been, what they did as parents. I pray that they repent, they get their crap right, but I forgive it. I can't. If you stay in that anger, which I was almost in, and God had to take me through it, so you have to go through it. It's not something you usually, especially if you grew up in a dysfunctional, very broken household, and you grew up with parents who are as foul as what I have, you do need to go through that. I call it the awareness of your brokenness. Because the problem is, if you don't go through that awareness of the brokenness, you stay running in a very dysfunctional treadmill. And I know a lot of people who are doing that. They're still on their treadmill of dysfunction. So like this lady in the video that John Gray does, where she's dating these guys who are all in the drug scene, something has caused that. And until she comes to clarity of what that is, she's going to continue down the same crazy ass path. There was another video, and I'm not a DMX fan, but DMX, I guess him and his son had some kind of, they've been not talking to each other for years. And come to find out, his son is very upset because of his infidelity against his mother and things that he was doing directly in front of this little boy when he's growing up. Again, we got to be careful what we do in front of children. We got to also be careful. We got to be careful. And DMX has, the brother, I think, he talked to somebody. I think the brother crazy as hell. Ayana Van Zant, I think it was Ayana Van Zant, I think it was her. She was there, and she was kind of being a mediator between the two. And he talking to the woman like she crazy. She's like, look, you're not letting your son finish. And then he got up and just, it was insane. I can't imagine what this kid's growing up would be. But if we don't deal with those issues, the cycle will continue. The Bible, well, in Christianity, we call it generational curses. But you have either or. You can have generational curses or blessings, either one. But generational curses will hold you back. and they will transmit generations until somebody stands against them. And it's sad because we have people in families, just like my brothers, instead of sitting down and talking to me and, Shanahan, I'm sorry, this, that, and the other thing happened. And I've warned you so that you don't have your children around your weird ass family. Because I also think the other brothers were the same way. Every brother that was in their father's family got with a woman who had already had girl children. And I had run into one of them who I know the stepfather tried to molest. Now, her mama wasn't no joke. Her mama kicked his ass right on out, and I don't know what else happened, but I don't think it was good. But you get women who are like my mother, who are lonely, who have low self-esteem. She's a fat woman, and they settle for people like my brother's father or my father. Both were foul males. Neither one, anybody, time you have a male who's molesting children, or even a female who's doing it, that's rare, but that's not a woman, that's not a man, that's a grown male or a grown female, and something is severely wrong with them. Um, I do know that my brother's father suffered. Their grandfather, was a major physically abusive man. He used to, what I understood, was tie them to the trees and beat them like they were slaves. They were originally from Texas, my brother's father's people. And it, like I said, when I met his father and his mother, they were weird. They were just some weird ass people. And then instantly, if I'm 7 years old and I know they weird, how the hell a grown ass woman don't know they weird? There's a problem. But it said a lot to me when I thought back and I remember the conversation that took place with my mother on the steps when she had married him. And I'm thinking to myself, there is no way I would have married somebody having a child with a girl or boy and have any inkling, feeling that that person or his family would do anything to harm my child. But there are so many females that are desperate for a male. And I call you females because I can't call you women. Because a woman wants a man, and you are desperate for a man. You're gonna go ahead and develop your life, and if you get a man along your journey, then you settle down. If you don't, you're gonna keep on pushing with your life and live your life whether you married to a man or not. But for these females who get out here searching for these males, and I gotta have a male, that's what you get. You don't get a man, you get a male, and there's a definite problem with that. So to the question from Les Truck about my mom, she's just as jacked up in my dad as my biological father on a whole nother level. She was also very physically abusive. I mean, I can tell you extension cards, skillets, punching you in the. I mean, my mother was an ass, dump you to the ground. She was vicious. It's almost like she hated me, and I think she did because her issues are deep. They're very deep, but they root from her childhood. And they root from the fact she was the fat child. She was the child that wasn't the favorite child by her mother. The favorite child was my aunt, her sister. There's dysfunction with my aunt because my aunt was favored so much. She has certain expectations that are somewhat unrealistic. And, her life was surrounded around, I really believe, this perfect ideal. And when it fell apart, I think it was very hard for her. But my grandmother set those expectations on her children. And then you have an uncle who we later find out is adopted, but they're not sure if they think he's the child of my grandfather. I think he's a child of my grandmother by a different man. And they found paperwork when she died that he was adopted. The reason I think that he is her child is because his son has some hereditary issue. One of his sons has some hereditary issues similar to what my grandmother had, which was some issues with her colon and I forgot what it's called, but where they have like intestinal issues. That's why I really do believe that she is the actual biological mother of this kid, but it was by another man. That's what I believe. Anyway, that's kind of some of my life. I mean, some of y'all wondering, and for those of you who looking at the channel and I look like a man and all this other thing, and I need to be what God created me to be. I am what God created me to be. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand the depth of how much I love God and the life I have chosen. I've been celibate for years out of choice. um, because I was in an alternative lifestyle. That is my choice. I don't want anybody to get on here and tell me who might be an alternative lifestyle. It's okay. It's not. That's for you. For me and how I believe and what I read in that Bible, I'm sorry, don't line up for that situation. I ain't judging nobody else. That's between you and the Lord. But for the individual who think you can read a book from the outside and look at it and think you know everything about the inside of the book, you're wrong. And unless you've walked in these shoes and my journey and my abuses and my scars and, in my healings, you don't know crap about me. And that's why you got blocked. I'm just saying. So I know that that's going to be coming to the channel. And I may address some and I may not address. There's some I haven't addressed. I've just blocked them because they just dumb. But this particular individual, because obviously I guess you may consider yourself Christian. I don't know. But your Christian maturity is low. Because what you learn as you mature as a Christian is everybody's journey is individual, number one. And yes, we only have a certain pathway to get into heaven. But the journey to get there, each one of us has our own. Okay? You don't know what bumps in the road we have to go through. So David's journey was not the same as Joseph's. Joseph's journey was not the same as Moses. Moses' journey was not the same as Paul's. So we have to understand that everybody's journey for that relationship with God is different. And if it's a sincere and you are what we call the chosen and the elect, trust me, you're going to go through a journey. So what I'm going to suggest for you, who's judging me on my looks, you need to go back to church. You need to sit down and find your church that's going to teach you because you're not being taught. And that's one of the major problems in the church. And also, I don't know if you know about older black women. I know older black women who completely white with hair this short. Okay? Hair short like mine, completely white hair, don't wear makeup. And they some old Christian women living their life. I'm 50 years old. I don't owe you anything. I'm not sleeping with you. I'm not married to you. And guess what? I ain't screwing you. So I can look any damn way I want to. I can be as fat as a hog. I can be as skinny as a stick. I can have one eye open and one eye closed. Guess what? I'm not with you. So don't worry about how I look. And let me help you out even further. If you don't like how I look, why in the hell watch the channel? Go watch something else. You need something to do. Crack the Bible and learn. So then you won't judge. Instead, you'll try to understand and you learn to pray for people instead of think you know how people should be. Anyway, y'all, this video, I didn't mean to be this long. I'm just shooting the shiz tonight because I'm getting ready to go to the bunker in a minute. I'm going to eat this leftover sandwich, which I hope is okay from yesterday. Because I got a sandwich yesterday and it's been back here. So I'm going to eat that. And then I'm going to take my happy ass to sleep. And then hopefully, I might do paperwork. And get up in the morning. If I have time, I'm going to do the laundry. If I don't have time, hopefully tomorrow I'll hit another truck stop and do laundry. Because I'm wearing the last pair of pants I got right now. I still got underwear, still got underoos. I still got shirts, but I only got one pair of pants, which is on my behind. So I need to wash the other stuff. I'm usually back in Lubbock. And I don't know what's up with them in the 7 a.m. crap. It's got to be there by 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. But the load the last stop on the load, they didn't get through loading at 2, 3 o'clock in the damn morning. And I put myself in off duty. You really should be going to on duty. And then I went back to sleeper berth because I hadn't really completed or even slept good because I was staying awake waiting for their ass to call. And I finally had to call them. And then they're like, oh, well, there's like 5 or 6 trucks ahead of you. I ain't never been in that facility. It was a hot-ass mess. Oh, I'm going to put a facility up that I went to called Tillis and Antilles. And this was another one, but it was more in town. And it's out in Salinas, California. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. They even got a cafe for the truckers. Anyway, and it got big truck parking in the back. If I would have known, I probably would have been there a little bit earlier. I don't know if they would have been able to load me earlier, but if I would have known they had that. I usually satellite view it, and if I could get a hold of somebody, but I think I called and I couldn't get a hold of anybody, or they kept ringing. So after it rings so many times, I'm like, okay, I'm good, and I just keep it pushing. Anyway, y'all, have a blessed evening. I'll put this video up again. Thank you to all the subscribers. I try to respond to comments. If I don't, I try to give you a like or a love or both. If it's a good comment. If you're a butthole and you just being a dick and a troll, then I'm going to go ahead and delete you, block you, and report you to YouTube. I'm just saying. So do what you do. If that's turns your boat and you want to do that because you need a life, then do you. I only responded to this one because there's probably some other people thinking the same way. And what I would say is go back to some of my older videos, um, and you can ooh, 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 see the change from then to now. Anyway, y'all, two, be blessed, be blessed, be safe, and peace. Um, yeah, and we got some stuff coming up for this channel. Don't forget the Trucker 411. We're gonna be doing a topic request from Kim Kipio regarding Class A CDL on the 411 channel. I had to break it out a little bit because it was a lengthy question, but it had several questions in it, and I don't know if people are gonna. We just run with it. I don't tell hosts how to do how the admins or hosts how to chop out topic. I just say here's a topic, run with that ball. And so this was a member request, so we're gonna do that, and then also I'll be doing on the 411 later. I'll be doing something on GPSs. That's another one I'm gonna be doing some stuff on. GPSs. I have somebody on the channel asked about GPSs, and I run 2 GPSs plus Google Maps. I run the Ram McNally and the Garmin, so I'll be doing a review on that. Oh, I did get some stuff, so I might do an unboxing later. But I did go ahead, and I had this before. So I think this is a newer version of the one I had. This is on sale at Love's, but I got the Cobra, and it has different colors, so you can change the front. I had this before when I was in trucking, and I got it dirt cheap at Sap Brothers here in Denver. And it was, I don't know if it was this one I think comes with Bluetooth on it. This one comes with Bluetooth. I don't think the other one had Bluetooth. Maybe it did. It's almost exact same look of the one I had before. Maybe this doesn't have a Bluetooth. I know one had the Bluetooth on it. It might have Bluetooth. I know that the newer version has a Bluetooth, but it's the same exact one I had before. And when I got out of trucking, I just sold it because I was so done and so disgusted with the trucking companies. And I also picked up a new headset. So let me show you. Well, anyway, I have this one, the stereo, and I also have the single headset one. I had 2 of each because I had to get replacements for both because they broke very shortly after having them. This inside right there, that starts to break apart. I don't know. It's totally bizarre. Anyway, they did the warranty replacement, and they just told me to dispose of the other headset. So I actually had 4. Problem is that in the old Freightliner, I used to keep my trash can right in the front seat area. I don't do that anymore because now my front seat, since I don't have a lot of storage like I did like the upper bunk, I used to put my dirty clothes on the upper bunk. Well, now I keep my dirty clothes in the front seat in bags on the passenger side. So the trash can is kind of sitting in the middle. It's wider in between here than it was in the Freightliner. So the trash can usually sits in the middle. But because the trash can is set up there near the seat, and I would always have a seat, one of the headsets, it was in a case, and the replacement one fell in. So I'm pretty sure it fell in, and I trashed it. I threw away a couple of different things by accident that had fallen in and forgot to check. So now the trash can sits in the middle, so I don't have to really worry about that as much. I'm a lot more cautious now when I throw out trash and checking the trash before I throw it out. But anyway, I may do a review on these. I don't know if I'll do it. I might do an unboxing for this one. And do a video unboxing of this one. And then later on, maybe I'll compare it to the Blue Parrot. This is the Plantronics one. The other one I want to get is the Red McNally, but that thing is like $200, and I'm really having a problem because I haven't seen it on sale yet. So once it goes on sale, then I'll go from there. Anyway, y'all, 2 be blessed. I am at a place called Chilla San Antilles. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous views. You can see this over here. Shrink it out. Not gorgeous?